When it comes to the US, the East Coast and the West Coast get a ton of love. But after taking an epic 2-month road trip through the northern and central regions of the country, we think the Midwest deserves a little more attention. This video will outline the best route for a Midwest road trip, hitting all of the major cities and the underrated destinations that you probably haven't considered. What's up, everyone? We're Crystal and Eric, and if you've seen any of our videos before, then you know we love to travel and showcase hidden gems and unique travel ideas. So come along with us today as we talk you through all of the best places to visit in the Midwest. This is the very exact route that we drove. It spans 11 states and it took us 2 months to drive, which allowed us to spend about 7 to 10 days in each state, and we felt that was the perfect amount of time. The route is circular, so you can pick it up anywhere and end back very close to your origin point. If you draw a line straight between each of the stops, you'll be taking on about 4,000 miles just going A to B, and you'll never spend more than 6 hours driving between destinations. We started our route in Pennsylvania, so our first stop on the Midwest road trip list is Cleveland, Ohio. We actually decided to skip the city itself and instead opted to camp at a goat farm outside Cuyahoga National Park. This was an awesome retreat and a perfect way to kick off the trip. The next stop is Marine City, Michigan, a charming small town nestled on the St. Clair River. Between the beaches, the lighthouses, ship watching, and the extremely kind locals, you might have a hard time pulling yourself away. We spent a full week here and didn't regret one day of it. But now it's time to move on to our next stop, Detroit, Michigan. Detroit is often overlooked when it comes to travel, but it happened to be one of the top highlights from our entire Midwest trip. Schedule a few days to fully explore the food scene, visit an amazing array of museums, and if you have time, we definitely recommend booking a tour of the city with a local where you can learn more about the city's history and what makes it so magical. Next up, we're exiting Michigan and heading to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. If you need a little road trip pit stop between these two major cities, make sure you stop at Indiana Dunes National Park, which serves as the perfect stop-off point to stretch your legs and maybe even take a dip in Lake Michigan. Once in Milwaukee, make sure you take advantage of the cheese and beer scene and then walk it all off as you explore the city's awesome lighthouses and art scene. If you're looking for some bang for your buck, this is the place you'll find it. With free outdoor events and festivals, Milwaukee will be sure to keep your costs low. We did a full video on all the free things to do in Milwaukee, so make sure you check that out in the link below. It's time to hit the road again, but we're going to keep the Wisconsin fun going. As you head northwest, you'll make pit stops in both Madison and Eau Claire. These two towns absolutely ooze Midwest charm, and they were great points for us to just stop, grab a coffee, and stretch our legs before the next major stop of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Minneapolis is as far north as this itinerary will bring you, and we are really hoping you didn't choose to do this in the middle of the winter or the middle of the summer.
One of the biggest regrets of my life.
Because honestly, it was so hot in July. We spent most of our time in our Airbnb, but if the weather cooperates for you, we recommend stopping at the Sculpture Gardens and visiting Minnehaha Falls. Once you wrap up there, you're going to start heading south, and we highly recommend making a pit stop in Mankato, Minnesota. This small town has an adorable main street, boutique shoppings, cafes, and quite literally the nicest people we have ever met in the world.
Oh my God! This is the friendliest place I've ever been.
Plus, it's right on the way to the next major stop of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. The main street of Sioux Falls itself is only about 4 blocks long, lined with a mix of historic buildings, new age cafes, restaurants, shopping. It's all super easy to explore by foot, including free access to a set of cascading waterfalls that give the town its name. Next up, we're dropping south again on what is probably the straightest road we've ever driven, making our way to Omaha, Nebraska. Omaha is on the border of Nebraska and Iowa, so you're also going to be checking Iowa off with this stop. Omaha was a huge surprise to us. The city was way larger than we expected, with a full downtown and midtown, both of which are definitely worth exploring. There was a great range of food and outdoor activities, although again, it got really hot in the summer. We recommend strolling the Old Market to escape the sun and experience a quintessential Western market. On your way out of Nebraska, you can fit in a quick stop at the state's capital, Lincoln, and enjoy the wide open roads on your way to the next stop of Wichita, Kansas. Wichita has incredible Native American history, and we highly recommend a stop at the Keeper of the Plains. It's such an amazing site, and you can't skip town without seeing the Kansas Aviation Museum and the original Pizza Hut. Wichita packs a big punch, and it was so cool to explore all of their history. But the trip isn't over yet, and it's time to head to Kansas City, Missouri. If you like city life, this is going to be the perfect place for you. It has awesome nightlife, rooftop pools, and walkable neighborhoods, but it also has some amazing museum options, including the Money Museum and the National World War I Museum and Memorial. We recommend stopping in a town called Blackwater, Missouri on your way to the next stop. This town is literally like stepping back in time. But if you go on a Sunday, don't expect to find anything open. It quite literally looks like a movie set, and it's kind of crazy that places like this still exist. After that fun stop off, you're making your way to St. Louis, Missouri, which is another amazing city. You have to see Route 66 and get some famous Ted Drewes custard. Also, visit the Arch, and we highly recommend purchasing a ticket to the top. It is well worth it. And the City Museum in St. Louis was seriously so cool. It has jungle gyms, slides, and a ton of random displays that you won't be disappointed. It's time to hit the road again, and the next random road trip stop is Casey, Illinois, home to big things in a small town, and man, are they not kidding. They have the world's largest mailbox, pitchfork, rocking chair, knitting needle, the list goes on. The town itself is super quick to explore, and it's definitely worth a little detour. The next main stop is Carmel, Indiana. Carmel has a walkable downtown with some awesome restaurants and shopping, plus a series of very strange villages and communities that seem like they're fresh out of the Stepford Wives.
It's the most bizarre thing. It's like being at Disney World.
It's Gilmore Girls with fat inheritances. It's a great place to walk around and admire the mansions, and you can also see the world's most beautiful roundabout. Seriously, it's a thing there. You can also pop into Indianapolis, which honestly was our least favorite part of the trip, but we encourage you to check it out for yourself. It's also quite close to Speedway, Indiana, which is where they host the famous Indy 500, and they have the world's largest racetrack. Last but not least, it's time to cross off the last state on the road trip with a stop in Covington, Kentucky. Covington, or the Cove as people call it, is an incredible small town with a heavy European influence. It's a beautiful place to stroll around, and we recommend staying in the Cove and taking the 5 to 10 minute drives to also see Newport and Cincinnati, Ohio. All right, that wraps up the best Midwest road trip route. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more of any of these stops, check out the description below. We're going to link to all of our travel vlogs so you can get in-depth coverage of each place. If you did like this video, give it a thumbs up. It helps us a lot. And let us know in the comments if you plan to visit the Midwest to experience any of these underrated places. Also, if you haven't yet, be sure to give us a follow on Instagram. We share all of our behind the scenes, including from this 2-month road trip, which you can see saved in our highlights. All right, we'll see you next time on the road.